Hello, everyone. Welcome to another show of Vibrations of Truth. I hope everyone is having a fantastic week. Um, we have went through a lot of things in the last July, August timeframe, especially with that Lionsgate. And what we have coming up here soon is on September 7th and 8th. As far as the cosmos goes, we have a lunar eclipse. So this is a time for illumination and release. So, what we may be experiencing is some of these subconscious emotions rising to the surface, that being illuminated and being able to release that. So, this is a great time, and we're actually have two eclipses coming in, which people are excited about. We have a partial solar eclipse on September 21st. So, this means the solar eclipse is usually about new beginnings, starting afresh, starting new. So, we have lots of things to look forward to. I know my name is Jen Smith. Michelle Bowen is here with me this morning as my co host in Vibrations of Truth. And this work of letting go, releasing is what we work through on a daily basis. So, but certainly, sometimes during these cycles, it really brings the people attention to be aware and to have more intentionality about really reviewing, knowing what's going on if things are coming up from the subconscious, releasing things that no longer serve you, whether they be limited beliefs, thoughts, patterns, things in your life. So, good morning, Michelle. How are you?
Morning. Good morning. Wow, we have a lot coming up. So I'm great. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you.
Yeah, happy Friday to you too. So I titled this as I was thinking, usually we talk a little bit before we get on here and say, what do we want to talk about for the day, right? But I've got my Keep It Simple shirt on, and I thought, well, this would be a great topic because we, during the week, have talked a lot about flowing and changing our words to say we're flowing today and not pushing, right?
Right.
So keeping it simple and flowing, not overcomplicating things.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about you. What's coming up for you this week in
Yeah.
terms of keeping it simple and flowing?
Yeah. I'll just jump on that right away, the flowing. Because one thing that I have or am working on and have noticed, and you have noticed also, is the choice of words that I use. And I think you just get into this pattern of saying certain things. When you stop and think about it, I'm sure there's a belief behind it for sure. And the one thing that I kept saying is, I'm going to get up and push. I'm going to push through this day. I'm going to push through this task. I'm going to push instead of choosing the word flow. And how much difference it makes, truly. One, when I'm even speaking it, right? The physical feeling that I have when I'm and how heavy that feels, it feels like a challenging task, and my body responds in that way. And then when I say and change to the word flow and how light and uplifting that is, and simple and easy that is. And so, you know, connected to thoughts and beliefs and stuff like that. And I'm shifting those things. This week has been a lot of fun. You catching me,
Yeah.
me catching, and choosing the words. And I do think it seems simple and small, but it really is, and can make a big difference in how you approach your day and your attitude, which is something we also talked about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, attitude is important. That's something that we're reviewing this week, right? Attitude. Most people misinterpret what attitude is.
Right.
Um, I know it says like change your attitude and things can change. We say that to students. We say that in the doctor's office. We say this everywhere, right? But
Right.
what attitude really means is your thoughts, feelings, and actions, and it's all about how the natural laws work, the universal laws, which are not these man-made laws that people may think about. It's universal laws, natural laws, God's laws, whatever people wish to call it.
Right.
This all omniscient power that guides us. But it's the law of cause and effect, meaning that the cause is us, our thoughts, our actions, our beliefs, our feelings, and the effect is also us. So we have nothing to blame outside of us because we are in charge of our reality, because only we can think for ourselves, only we can feel for ourselves, and only we can put the actions in for ourselves. So, do we want to make it simple or do we want to make it complicated? Because it can really be simple. I think that we've all been programmed, majority of us, to really analyze every single thing and overcomplicate things instead of just thinking positive, keeping it simple, keeping it light, and trusting the flow.
Right. We have talked about that too. Just you and I are similar in that respect. And as you said, probably a lot of people where you're over analyzing, thinking thoughts, trying to sort through things, figure out the whys, or creating stories around things for whatever reason. You're just trying to figure it out. I don't know if that's maybe part survival skill, part just who we are, as far as kind of analytical part of us. But when we're doing that, what does that create? Right? It does start affecting your thoughts and your vibration, right? And how you are responding to the world and what you're putting out in the world, and what you attract. And I find these days, I feel like for most of my life, that's what I did. And I thought, I got to know the whys. I got to answer these questions. I got to know. For me personally, probably somewhat survival, somewhat trying to control the environment for comfort or whatever, and peace of mind maybe. But I've recently learned, like, letting go of that, how important that is, and how just being
Mhm.
present and in the moment, I can be more in tune to my intuition and that guidance versus needing to know the whys of things. And I'm never going to know everything, right? You're just never going to know. You're not going to know anybody's intentions or whatever you might be trying to figure out. You may not ever know. Why create that vibration? Why create that story? Why not stay present and move in the flow of things with whatever comes? And that is something that I'm working on daily. And it's just so light. It's so much lighter and free, and I can just be still in that. And for me personally, that's just been a life changer.
Mhm. Yeah. Light and flowy. That sounds wonderful. It is wonderful. You said, I've got to know. Like that's kind of how I think many of us think. Even whenever we work through, creating our reality and work through this quantum field that we're in, and wanting to know how does all of this work. And even our scientists who are quantum scientists have gotten some information, but they still can't explain how this works. So the only way, and although I would, how does it work? Like, I wanna know every single thing, and it's really following through with the steps on how it's taught and trusting. So it's almost like using your life as an experiment, a teacher. Your life is the teacher, right?
Right.
Because everything reflects back to you. Your inner world creates your outer world, and from there, you can learn a lot about different shifts that need to be made internally. So, worrying about what someone else is thinking, um, which sometimes we do, is not
Mhm.
gonna help a whole lot, because it's like, take care of your energy, take care of your thoughts, feelings, and actions, put out
Right.
the good. Whatever energy you put out is gonna be returned to you. So that's the key. That's the key. Being present in the moment and experiencing the magic, shutting off all the analytical thinking,
Right.
all the thoughts back and forth, right?
Yeah. 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 I just think I agree with you completely on all of that. I think there's a difference between a healthy curiosity about things, because that's fun and light, and that can be also probably partly your attitude and what you're thinking and how you're moving through
Mhm.
that, right? And that's fun and light, and you just are super curious about it, then that's very different than that I gotta know. Like, you know what I mean? Like digging deep, trying to make sense of something, maybe in a negative kind of way, or something you feel like you have to control in some way. I think
Mhm.
the different intentions also probably makes a major difference in that. I would feel, because I also am very curious about all the things, um, and I get excited about new experiences and things that are happening to me that have never happened before on a spiritual level.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I'm just great. Grateful to have a resource like you, but also, we start diving into books and whatever else, and we're very curious and we want to know and enjoy that. It's a joyful thing. So maybe there's a distinguish, we have to distinguish between those two types of things. Um,
Yeah, I like you said that because curiosity is very healthy. I mean, without a fun curiosity of how things work, we wouldn't be where we are today with all the
right,
work that we're doing now, right?
right,
Um, and so, yeah, curiosity is good. Curiosity is good. But sometimes and there is a distinguishing between what we talked about before, the actual knowing or the curiosity of learning more about life,
right.
you know? And then once you learn some things and then you put it into practice and see how it shifts your life, it's magical.
It, it is magical. It's lovely. I'm just going back to attitude, just something that I'm going back to work this week. It was just a personal experience, and um, just getting myself ready for that. And I think I told you probably last weekend I had a lovely weekend last weekend. Everything
Mhm.
felt so good and right and was flowing. And I just remained in this grateful, state, and just everything that came to me, I was just so happy about, and it felt so lovely. And that just happened to me the entire weekend, which set me up to go into my week beautifully, beautifully. I was
Mhm.
just so excited about that. And I really think my attitude was good. As I'm going through the week, you bump into things because you're in your world, and you start moving amongst people and all the things that you can't control when you're sitting in your home, by yourself. And I think one thing about the attitude piece of it that we learned that I was able to apply, and just that, um, seeing obstacles more as an opportunity for something, or an opportunity for me, versus something that would be a challenge and something that I'm pushing against, or becomes a negative connotation. I just see trying to change my attitude about stuff and looking at it as an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to learn, maybe shift what I'm doing. Let me look at this in a new light. And I think that was probably a very helpful, timely thing that we were talking about,
Mhm.
attitude, and how that kind of moved me through my week. So that's just something that I want to say as far as application piece and what I've experienced this week. But other than that, I don't know if you have any more to add onto
Well, it
that,
sounds
onto
like you
the
were maybe shifting your perspective on things a little bit, so using those higher mental faculties that we have to shift the perspective to make the situation feel better. So it goes back to thoughts, feelings, actions. You're thinking about it in a different light that makes you happier about it. You're feeling different about it. And the thinking part, we're switching all those cells to a positive, and then your
right,
feeling is lighter and you're in a higher vibration, which is all about vibration, right? Because your vibration is what brings things to you. So your thoughts you send out, the vibrations that you're in is what you're gonna be attracting to you. So changing that perspective is great. I mean, that's what shifts your reality. If we go a little deeper into that, it's kind of, leads back to consciousness, which people have a hard time understanding, and it's really hard to explain. I don't know if there's a perfect definition for it, but the consciousness is like a whole mix of our beliefs, our ideas, where we're at in the moment with our feelings. So it's and that's what really creates our reality, is where we're at in that consciousness state. And so it can be as easy as maybe there's a situation that is being in front of us that we're not liking so much. It's as easy as visualizing it as, how would we like for that to be? Visualizing it and pressing it on our subconscious mind, because now we're thinking about it differently. We're thinking at it about it in a positive
Right.
way, which makes us feel better, and we're impressing that in our subconscious mind, and that is changing the consciousness, and then that's what changes our reality. So that's another way to explain it, another way to look at it. But keeping it simple, think positive, feel great,
Yeah.
make life
Yeah.
joyful and easy and simple, and, don't overanalyze, be present. It's really not that hard, is it? We
Yeah.
just have to be
It really
happy.
is. No.
Be happy and joyful
Yeah.
doing what you're
Right. And
doing, and look and send out positive energy, right?
yeah. And if you don't like something, you can change
Mhm.
it. Y- You can change it, and you can still choose joy in those moments, and you can still choose um, to keep it light and simple and whatever, and that will eventually shift what you're doing. So I agree. It does sound simple. It is a simple concept, I guess, to some extent. And then when you're putting it into practice, it's just really habit becomes habit after a while, and that becomes your new normal. And not everybody, I think, has that initially, or it can be a little more challenging initially to do that. But when you have repetitive successes with it and it's good and it keeps showing up in a good way and reinforcing the things that you're changing and doing, it just makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. And the feeling you get from being in that joyful light, flow, and ease. I always say floating. It feels like you're it feels like you're floating because your body
Yeah,
is in such a natural state, and that is our natural state. And when we push against that natural state, that's whenever we have ailments in our body. That's whenever we have physical ailments, because our body is just a function of our mind, and
yeah,
so it'll do exactly what our mind tells it to do. So it's a signal for us to, say, "Hey, something's going on here." Whenever we have those aches and pains, there's some signals to us that maybe we're not thinking about things
yeah,
correctly, right?
right. Learn that the hard way. I put that into practice. Yeah. And then I had to undo that. So yeah, I get it. Lived it. Yeah.
Yeah, so, shifting your work or your service and working on things that are light and fun is, that's what I'm doing right now, and it's been great. And, yeah, just live in a high vibration, joyful, flow, ease, don't worry, everything's always working out. So there's all sorts of different affirmations and
Yeah.
self-talk that people can do to keep them in that state and that level to start bringing in all the good for their lives.
Yeah.
All
Good
right, well, very
advice.
good. Is
Yeah.
there anything else that you'd like to add before we go for today?
I think, just choosing, making the choices that you make. You can either, look at things and choose the positive in that and have growth, or you can choose the negative and feel defeated, and that's up to you. And I think once you start choosing differently and thinking about things a little differently, I think you'll see that the growth is the way to go, or how, where you'll feel best, I guess. And that's what you'll start attracting good things to you. So
Yeah, and that's the inner
just a
work. So
reminder.
everything I
Yeah.
love what you just said, everything has good and bad. So whenever you are seeing something, look for the good in it, or just say, "That's good," and find the good in it. And, your life will start to shift if you can do that with every single thing. All right, well, very good. Thanks, Michelle, and thanks
Yeah.
everyone for joining us, and we will be back next week for another episode